And
Have you encountered the subject of hell with anybody that's come through or anybody that you've spoken with?
um, there have been, clients who have asked, like, did my dad go to heaven or did he go to hell? Um, my belief is that heaven and hell are really our choice of it's what we perceive as as positive or happy or unhappy or whatnot. So we make that construct ourselves and we use it to torture ourselves as we live on this planet, with dogma and um, fear-based conditioning of you better do this or you're going to go to hell. You better follow the good citizen checklist or you're not going to get where you need to
Hmm.
go. Um, so it's people have asked me about it. I believe that, you know, there's just there's another side, but there's levels of it. So some people might um, be at a much higher level, more ascended, I guess, when they leave and they go to the other side, and other people may not be highly ascended, but um, for me personally, I don't really believe in a place of hell. I think that that's hell is what you make of it,
Do you,
and it's not a belief that serves me or my beliefs.
okay. Do you believe that we come back here more than once?
Yeah, so I do. That's one thing that kind of surprised me when I started doing shamanic healing work with people, is that on several occasions I've had visions of past life things, or my clients, while they're on the table, they have visions of a past life thing. And they'll say to me, oh, I keep having a dream you know, about drowning, and I've never drowned ever. And so, but then they're on the table and they have the dream. They're like, oh my gosh, you know, what was that? And so I've experienced and seen, and my clients, some of them have seen experiences where it's like, wow, that feels like it was me, but I was in a different body, in a different timeline, in a different, experience of life. And so I think that we can come back hundreds of times. I actually did a quantum healing um, past life
Regression?
regression thing
Hmm.
with someone in Michigan last year. And it was interesting. Past life came up for me that I hadn't uh, seen before, but I felt. And that was where I was a shaman. I was actually a shaman in Peru millions of years ago. I don't know how
Oh,
many years ago, but it was like, whoa, because when I ended up going to shaman school and getting into this work, people were like, wow, how'd you get into that? I'm like, I don't know, man. I had that concussion. I was trying to find some alternative healing methods that might help me. I saw an ad for shamanic healing. I was like, I'm supposed to do that. And I did. And then I got totally into it and it felt right. And it felt like it was a part of me and and important for me to pursue. And I did. And then last year it was like, oh, now I get it, and I feel like that in that lifetime, I was like a medicine woman and shaman in some Peru village. And actually it was funny, in the interview where they were doing the past life thing, I spoke Quechua, which is a dialect of that's spoken in Peru in some of the smaller villages. And and then when I listened to the recording later, I was like, what? That's Quechua. I don't know how to speak that. Like Jackie today doesn't know how to speak Quechua, but I know some words in Quechua that I learned from my shamanic training. And I was like, whoa, how did I say that when I was under a hypnotized state? You know, it was fascinating. So I believe that our souls are, well, we come from a large energetic soup out in the universe, and our souls decide we want to come down and have a human experience because we want to learn and grow and experience certain things for our ascension as a being. So we do, and then when that lifetime's over, we go back, we figure it out, we decide if we need to go back again, what other lessons do we need to learn, and then we come back again and again and again. I didn't always necessarily believe that until I started doing the shaman stuff, because I kept seeing past life things with clients, and I was like, whoa, I got to learn more about it. So I did read a lot of things from Dolores Cannon,
Right.
who was kind of a pioneer in that area. She's passed now, but very fascinating how we, before we even come down, we agree, like, I'm gonna come to this lifetime, I'm gonna be born in this year to these two parents, and I'm gonna have this life experience, and I'm gonna have I'm gonna have a long lifespan, and I'm gonna suffer with fibromyalgia, and like we know what we're signing up for before we sign up. And according to this work with Dolores, we're actually given options, like, well, here's a couple options, which one do you want? And then we choose, and we come down and we have that life experience. And some of the things I've seen have been just really fascinating and
Have you
beautiful.
have you seen any evidence for soul groups?
Like soul families where you
Yeah,
come back time and
the
time
same
again.
people.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I know, like, I had a client, one of my first clients after I finished shaman school that I was working on. When I was working on them on the table, I had this really clear vision that him and I were brothers before, and we were fighting in a battle together, and we were on a battlefield, and it was so vivid and real. I was like, whoa, like, how could I, where is this coming from?
Hmm.
Anyway, he is a soldier in this lifetime, retired military person. And and his whole family is all military people. And I'm like, well, it was just fascinating to me. Like, wow, I was there, and we were brothers. We were fighting together for our country. And I don't know, it was like 1500s or something like that.
Can you explain? I want to get to what shaman school and what being a shaman healer is, and I did read part of your book, especially chapter 20 of your book. Jackie's book, by the way, is Lies I Thought Were True. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'll put a link to that in the show notes. But so Lies I Thought Were True, and in chapter 20, your protagonist of your book, Shelby, is her name?
Yes.
Shelby goes through a uh, shaman healing experience, right?
Yes.
So, can you explain? To me, that reminded me of my own past life regression kind of thing I've went through.
Mhm.
but can you explain? I guess first of all, because when people hear the word shaman, right, they think of a bone through your nose and blood drippings and stuff, and that it's it's the immediate connotation is maybe not as positive as we'd like it to be. But explain what it is for people that are listening.
Sure. Um, shamanic healing is really an energetic healing modality that's been around for, I don't know, 40,000 years. If you think about it, before modern medicine, what did we have? We had healers in our villages and communities that, um, used plant medicines or energy medicines or um, massage or healing and support. Um, we had very tight knit communities where we supported each other, right? So how and the big point is humanity survived, right, before modern medicine. And so when I look at shamanism, it feels to me like going back to to our roots, because a lot of times we are energetic beings, and our energy body remembers things far beyond our physical body when we're injured and it heals. I mean, you've heard stories probably of people who are amputees and they keep saying that they're big toe itches, right? It's
Right.
because their energy body still remembers having an entire leg, right? And so, but we have our luminous energy field that is part uh, and works in tandem with our physical body. And as we live this lifetime, we experience traumas. We have a car accident. We, fall and break our elbow. All these things that occur to us. We have trauma. Things happen, and we do our best to heal with the tools we have today, with modern medicine or whatever people pursue for healing. But sometimes people feel like, I feel like 90% healed, but there's still something there. There's still something feels stuck. And so what I see a lot when I do shamanic energy work on people is that their energy field still has stuck or crystallized energy from past injuries or trauma that's kind of holding them back. And so when we do shamanic healing, it's energy based. So uh, basically, a lot of the work, I put my hands behind your head at the Heaven's Gate location, which is it puts you in a theta state. You'd lay on the table for, it's about an hour. And there's about 50 different shamanic healing tools that I've learned from my teacher from Peru that I can use depending on what comes up in the session. But often we can clear stuck energy from like a past physical trauma or actually like emotional trauma.
So when
Doing
a person comes to you for this type of session, uh, your client lays on a table. Okay, is it like massage table, or do you have a
Yep,
special table?
yep. So it's a
Okay.
massage table. It's similar to like Reiki, where you come in, you lay fully clothed on the table. You do set your healing intention. So in shamanic healing, it's really not the shaman that's doing the healing. It's the client.
Hmm.
So the patient or the client is the one that sets the healing intention. So what do you want to heal today? Like what's on your mind? How are you feeling? What's going on? What do you want to heal? And then they set the healing intention. We use some shamanic tools to kind of set the stage, and then they get on the table, and then I work with their chakra energy centers and their luminous energy field to clear energy blockages and really get things moving. Because oftentimes the people that I see are middle aged. Well, shoot, if you've lived 50 years, you've seen a lot of stuff. You've been through a lot of things. And so after a session, people will say, oh, wow, I feel lighter. I feel different. I was really relaxed on the table. A lot of times people might say it almost felt like an out of body experience because it was very relaxed
Are they
while they're on the table.
conscious, or are they asleep? Are they hypnotized, or
Sometimes people fall asleep. Sometimes people are awake. Mostly their eyes are closed during that time. And sometimes people see things or have dreams. Sometimes people just have like a massive power nap and snore and the whole nine yards.
do you
It
use
depends
your
on what your body needs. So if you're overtired and you haven't slept well, and you need sleep, then you might end up actually sleeping. But in the end, what happens on the table is what was meant to happen for your healing for that day, based on the healing intention that you set. So if a client comes in more than once, like they comes in once and a few months later comes in again, the healing intention is different the second time they come in. And so the experience is different. It might be a completely different experience. The first time might have been a power nap. The second time they might have like some interesting dreams or see some colors or some things playing out in their mind that they're like, oh, I haven't thought about that in a long time. And so it's different each time,
Do
and
you
it's
use
unique to the
hypnosis?
individual.
Do you use hypnosis?
No, no. I mean, I
Do,
don't the
do you use
standard hypnosis tools. No, but the people do sometimes feel like a hypnotic state because they're relaxed.
so
But I
do you
don't.
use other modalities like music or aromas or incense
Yes.
or all the above?
Yeah, so
Okay.
we do use, because it's energy healing, so we use vibration, and so I'll use a rattle, which kind of breaks up stuck energy into smaller pieces so it can move more easily. I also have a shamanic drum that I use in a session that is just even more powerful, uh, kind of percussionist to kind of break things up and help energy move. I also used sage and burn different types of aromatics that are for purifying purposes, but also the smoke as it's like floating up in the air, it's really like carrying away the uh, the stuck things or the pieces of debris or energetic, what they call it, it's called hucha, but it's like basically the bad stuff you don't want, and
Okay.
it's carried away in the smoke and dissipated out into the universe. So that's
Do
how
you
that works.
interview each client when they're done so that you know what they experienced? Is that part of the
Yeah.
healing
So
process?
after the session is done, we'll talk a bit, and I'll ask about what their experience was, or what they see, or how they felt. Sometimes people have a lot to say, you know? Sometimes people are like, whoa, I don't even know how to describe what just happened,
Hmm.
you know? Um, and so it's really unique to each individual. And so I have them share with me what they experienced, and then I share with them what I experienced or what I saw. Um, and I'll share a little bit about what shamanic tools I might have used, so they have a sense for it. But and
Do
then
your I'm sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, and then the instructions for like after a shamanic healing is really for people to drink a lot of water the first few days, because if you think about it, you have your energy body and your physical body working together. Now, your energy body, we just removed a bunch of stuck energy and things that were keeping you vibrating at a lower level. So now you're vibrating at a higher level, but your physical body is down here and has to adjust. And so if you're well hydrated, um, your body is more fluid and can more easily adapt to vibrating at a higher frequency. And so I always tell people, drink twice as much water as you normally do for the next couple days so that you can adapt. And then people will say sometimes they feel shifts in their consciousness um, in a few days or a few weeks, or sometimes even after a couple months. The shamanic healing brings all kinds of new um, like experiences for people. Um, Oftentimes people feel lighter. They'll say to me, I've been struggling with this issue for a long time, and like a couple days after the session, all of a sudden I had a new idea for a solution. Right. And so it's like, we just cleared out all these things that were stuck and keeping your energy from flowing. So now you're flowing at a higher frequency, and it's like, ooh, more possibilities, more um, energetic input, or uh, just it really brings to light more opportunities for healing and new insights to your life. Like, uh, I had
Do
one
you use
person.
your mediumship gifts during a shamanic healing session? And if so, is that unusual? Or like are there shamanic healers that don't have that dimension to
Oh,
the work they do?
sure. I don't necessarily use my mediumship abilities by themselves in a um, shamanic healing session, when we begin the session, I do a shamanic prayer that calls in the angels and archangels and creates this as a sacred space for healing. And, so I'll see the archangels and I'll see the spirit guides for the person that's on the table come in. And so I'll see some of that. But then I kind of keep it separate because I want to focus on on the healing part and use the shamanic tools to help the person. If like let's say somebody's father who passed away a year ago shows up when I'm calling in the angels and archangels and spirit guides, I'll be like, "Oh, hey, so glad you could join us. Can you stand behind the angels?" You know what I mean? Because we're healing right now, so
But
step
so
aside and
do you receive
help
any
the
kind
healers
of
in.
additional information about the person that you're working on because you have a mediumship gift, or does every shamanic healer do that? Invite in the angels and archangels.
Well, I know in our tradition that I've been taught, that's how we call that in.
Okay.
Not all shamans maybe see them like I see them or whatever, but it's pretty typical practice to call upon the mountain spirits and the archangels to help us in our healing session. Um, and
Do angels show up like we imagine angels to look like, or do they look different in the shamanic experience?
um, to me, they look the way that I think I was taught they were supposed to look.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So, and I think that when they show up for people, they look the way our brain is expecting them to look.
I just want to
Right.
make sure the angels weren't showing up with bones in their noses. So
Right.
they
Right.
okay, got it. So what you're describing is a pretty intense process that you go through. Is it therefore not possible to do this remotely? Is everything you do in person?
No, you can do it remotely. In fact, when I went through the shamanic training program, um, I live in a small remote area, a small town, and I was at the time I was like, oh no, we can't practice. My new shaman friends, we can't practice on each other or help each other out because I'm so far away. But then our teacher was like, no, let's do a virtual session. Let's show you how it's done. And so I have done many virtual sessions, and people have had just as good a results as if they had one in person. Um, so and it works simply where all the things that I would do if you were laying on the table, I just imagine your energy body is laying on my table.
Okay.
And I'll have Zoom open, um, and they just lay on the couch or whatever, have the Zoom screen open to them nearby. We talk in the beginning before the session. We set the healing intention. I use all the same tools. I shake the rattle. I do the drum. I burn the sage. I do all the same things over my table where their energy body is laying
Is
during
that
the
a drum
session.
behind you?
Hmm?
Is that a
Yes, this
drum
is my
behind you?
shaman drum here. Very fun. Um, I really enjoy playing it. My
That's the
rattle.
rattle. Okay. Cool.
Um, but yeah, so uh, what else was I going to say about that? Yeah, virtual sessions actually
Okay.
work really well, especially now it's cold and flu season, and people are like, I don't want to leave my house, and
Sure.
yeah.
So as Jackie, we probably need to start wrapping up here, but what what did you want to say that I didn't ask you? Like, what do you think it's important that you might communicate to people that are listening to the podcast?
I think that it's really important for people to be open to alternative healing, not just shamanic healing, but other alternative healing methods. When I had my concussion a few years ago, I was not getting better, and modern medicine was like, we can't do anything. You got to wait and see. And I mean, I went to speech therapy, and I went through physical therapy and all these other things, right? And I passed a basic intelligence test, and then they released me from treatment and neurology. But I went home that day and I was like, I am still not right. I have more healing to do and I want to figure it out. And so, I did a real deep dive in alternative healing things. I mean, I tried everything: acupuncture, cranial sacral therapy. I did, physical therapy. I mean, all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, I'm going to try it all because I want to get better. And, and it really opened up my eyes to all the possibilities for healing. And I mean, I've healed now from my concussion probably 10 times over, but I've also healed from things that, I've been carrying around since I was a kid too, like emotional healing and letting things go and baggage of expectations and, all those things from growing up. And it's like, I just feel like I wouldn't have ever gotten here had I not been open to trying all these things out. So when I look back on my life, I think that concussion was really a pivot in my life because basically the universe smacked me upside the head and said, you got to switch gears and you got to start doing healing work instead. And it took me a while to figure that whole thing out, but it definitely came together. And if you had asked me before that accident happened to me or whatever, I don't know if I would have tried it or believed in it because, I was really, I was trying to be like everyone else. And after that, I hit my head, I just knew that you know, I mean, I did not have a near death experience, but I sure had that, crap scared out of me.
Right.
And it was like, you know what? If I have only a short time to live, I want to live. I want to do stuff. I want to have a bucket list and I want to do those things on that bucket list. And I want to heal and I want to, be able to get along better with, you know, with the world. And I want to find my place in the world. And I want to finish writing my novel and I want to inspire other people to find healing because, at the time I was like, early 50s is like, well, I'm healed enough. I'm all right. I can. It's like, no, if I'm living 30 more years, they're going to be good years. I'm going to figure out how to make that happen. And I think that using alternative medicine, whichever ones work for the things you're facing, is the way to get there.
Good.
Because humanity survived all this time despite that. So I don't know.
That's great. I
Just
appreciate
be
that.
open.
Just
And
be
then I
open.
just wanted to say something too about my book. So I wrote this book I had been dreaming about. It's a novel about a girl who goes on a motorcycle ride adventure across the country, and a bunch of things happen to her on that ride. And at the end of the ride, she's pretty much realizes that she's trapped in conformity's cage and she needs to find her way in the world, to be her unique self and find her own truth. And so that's what the story's about. In there, of course, my protagonist has a shamanic healing session to help her on her way. Oh, surprise, surprise.
When you describe that shamanic healing session in the book, she's in a cage and she sees the people locked up and the key. Is that something that you actually experienced, or is that just something you did for the book?
No, so the book is fiction, but there's a lot of my own personal experience in there. And the very first time I ever went to a shamanic, or even got exposed to shamanic whatever, a friend invited me to a shamanic journeying meditation thing in Milwaukee, and I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try it. And so I went, and we did this journeying. There was the drum beat in the background. A skilled shaman walked us through the shamanic journey. I was laying on a yoga mat with about 20 other people, and I saw what Shelby saw in that book.
Wow,
I
cool.
saw everything, and I was like, whoa, what is happening? I'd never had an experience in a in a guided meditation that was like so vivid, and it just felt important. So when we did this 20-minute meditation, and then when we came out, they were like, hey, let's write down what you experienced. And I was like, I hadn't even brought a pen or a notebook or anything. And I was like, hey, somebody give me a pen, give me a notebook. I got to write this stuff down. This is really crazy.
Yeah, I thought that because the description you had in the book is so unique, I suppose, and it seemed authentic. So that's why I was wondering where that came from.
And it is what I saw. So in that vision, I saw myself in a cage in a dark place.
So don't give it away.
Yes. And but anyway, Shelby's journey is to find her way out of conformity's cage. And so the book is called Lies I Thought Were True. And I'm working now to get that on Audible in February. So that will be out there next month. And this is my first podcast that I'm doing. So thank you so much for the opportunity to get out in the world and talk about stuff,
Well, you look like
especially
a pro,
shamanic healing.
so you speak like you've done this before, so that's great. I'll put the links to your book in the show notes. How do people find you? Like if they want to do a healing session with you?
Sure. My website is beyondlimitsunited.com. So I'll give that to you for your show notes and some other information. There's a scheduling link on there. You can schedule a appointment that way.
So Beyond Limits, plural.
United.
Okay, beyondlimitsunited.com. Okay.
Yes. And and I think, if you hear this podcast and something pulls at you, like, hey, I need to check this out, maybe you need to honor that, because it maybe could change the course of your life. I don't know. It certainly changed the course of my life and brought a lot of healing to myself, my family, and the community that I live in here. So it's definitely, I feel like I found home. This is something that
That's
I'm
awesome,
supposed to be
Jackie.
doing in the world.
Thank you. Well, thank you for your time. Best of luck to you with the book and future books, and I'm sure you're going to continue this journey. But really, I appreciate your time, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Mike. Take
All
care.
right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.